The amazing cleaning lady revealed a heartwarming truth that humbled the billionaire CEO forever. Maria stood quietly at the entrance of the penthouse, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a golden glow on the lavish furnishings. A million-dollar view perched above the city's skyline surrounded her. She never imagined she'd be here, in a world so far removed from her humble Chicago apartment. Her heart raced as she thought of her children, Matteo and Sophia, who cheered her on every morning before she left for work. "You're amazing, Mommy," they would say, their laughter echoing through their small home. Dignity and resilience defined Maria more than her modest income ever could. As she carefully dusted the framed pictures on the walls, each photo seemed to tell a different story. One particularly caught her eye. A young boy, sparkling with joy, held a wrench in his hand, standing next to an older man, the gleam of pride in his eyes unmistakable. Jack Matthews, the billionaire CEO, had once known a world where love reigned before his rise to ruthless power consumed him. As she picked up her cloth to wipe a nearby table, Maria could feel the weight of Jack's presence shift in the room. He exuded an air of superiority, a contrast to her nurturing warmth. But Maria, with her gentle heart, refused to let Jack's cold demeanor distract her from her task. She glanced around, absorbed in the tranquility of the moment, when suddenly a loud crash shattered the calm. Panic gripped Maria's heart. It was only hours earlier. She had watched Matteo, her brave 11-year-old, play basketball with his friends outside. She called him to check in, but he didn't answer. A gut-wrenching fear tightened in her chest. In that moment, the bustling penthouse faded, her world whirling as her community gathered around her troubled son. Maria's neighbors, true anchors of her life, rushed to her side. Jack stood, frozen, transfixed by the unity surrounding Maria. He witnessed laughter, concern, and love flowing seamlessly between her and her community. They formed a circle of strength, a living testament to the connections he had forsaken in his quest for success. The realization hit him hard. How had he let ambition blind him to the simple truths of human connection, like those Maria embodied? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the commotion resided, Maria returned to the penthouse, her tears flowing, yet shoulders strong. She hadn't just survived, she had thrived. And Jack was suddenly aware of how hollow his life truly was. He approached Maria, confused yet determined to understand. "Do you often call on others when times get tough?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. Maria paused, meeting his gaze with warm honesty. "Family is everything. We stand together." In that moment, a shift happened, two worlds colliding. One built on isolation and ambition, the other steeped in love and community. Jack Matthews felt a flicker of hope igniting in his heart. Would he step beyond the gilded cage of his own making and dare to confront the person he had lost? The son estranged from his father? The man who once loved what was real? Maria's strength offered him a pathway, a chance for healing that he never knew he craved. Would he take it? The answer lingered, tantalizingly close, yet shrouded in uncertainty. But one thing was clear. The cleaning lady had revealed a truth that might change them both forever. As Maria stood in the penthouse, a sense of unfamiliar warmth washed over her. Jack's question lingered, echoing in the vast space between them, filled with hard-earned silence. She had never been one to shy away from the hard truths, but this moment, this conversation, was different. Perhaps Jack was finally peeling away layers built upon years of wealth. There was a time, Jack began, searching for the right words, when I knew what it meant to have people to lean on. His voice trembled, but he held her gaze steadily. But things changed. I built this empire, yet I lost connection with those who mattered most. Maria saw it, vulnerable honesty behind the CEO's facade. He wasn't just a billionaire, he was a man filled with regrets, shadows lurking behind every polished surface. A flicker of compassion stirred within her. Maybe they weren't so different after all. She had fought for her family, and he had fought for his empire, yet both had lost sight of what truly mattered. Sometimes ambition takes so much that we forget to look around, she responded softly, her heart aching for him. But it's never too late to rebuild. Your son, he needs you. The thought of his estrangement cut deeper than Jack had anticipated. He swallowed hard, pain twisting within him. His fingers tightened around the edge of the marble table, grounding him. I don't know how to start, he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. By reaching out, Maria encouraged gently, her tone imbued with a warmth that floated effortlessly between their two worlds. Tell him you care. Show him you want to be part of his life again. As Jack listened, he felt the weight of her words settling deep within him, like a seed taking root. Could he really do this? Could he take a step into a future that had been waiting for too long? His heart raced at the thought. The possibility felt both thrilling and terrifying. In that moment, he felt a surge of determination he hadn't experienced in years. He took a deep breath, envisioning a phone call, a simple gesture that could ripple into something much bigger. Maria's presence filled him with a sense of hope he had long thought extinguished. Before they could continue, a knock broke the moment. The door swung open, and suddenly, a whirlwind of commotion filled the room as one of Maria's neighbors, Anna, rushed in. "Maria, I heard about Matteo," she exclaimed, eyes wide with urgency. "Is he okay? He took a bad fall. The kids are worried." Maria's heart plummeted once more, the pain flooding back like a sudden storm. But she steadied herself, knowing that she was not alone in this. Jack watched as Maria transformed once again, concern overtaking her previously soft demeanor. She dashed to her neighbor, gathering information, heart like a drum in her chest. "Can I help?" Jack found himself saying before he even processed the words. Maria turned, surprised but grateful. "Yes, please. If you could come with me to the park, your car will get us there faster." As they hurried out, Jack marveled at how this woman had shifted his life in mere hours. The high of his ambition felt light compared to the heavy sense of responsibility tapping his shoulder now. Could nurturing relationships truly outweigh the relentless pursuit of success? Maria, sensing his transformation, gave him a quick, hopeful smile as they exited the luxurious building that felt less valuable than ever against the backdrop of family and love rushing to the forefront of both their lives. What awaited them at the park was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Jack Matthews was on the brink of awakening to the world he had forsaken. In that moment of chaos, Maria felt a surge of purpose coursing through her. They were both about to discover whether a broken connection could be mended. As they rushed through the doors, a question loomed in Jack's mind. Could he face what he had lost for so long? As they sprinted to the parking garage, Jack tried to push thoughts of his estranged son aside, focusing instead on the urgency of the moment. The cool night air whipped around them as Maria led the way, her mind racing with worry for Matteo. The hospital lights would have been bright, suffused with a harsh reality that brought a chill even to the warm summer air. "What do you know about the fall?" Jack asked, trying to keep pace, feeling an unexpected need to be useful. Maria glanced back, her brow furrowed with anxiety. "He was playing soccer at the park, and I guess he tripped over one of the goals. It's all a blur now," she replied, her voice shaky. "But I trust the doctors. I just need to see him." Jack nodded, understanding how important family bonds were in moments like these. That's what he had lost. Time, presence, connection. He could almost feel the air thick with unspoken words about what he wished he could tell his own son. Perhaps that's what he would do. He vowed that this would not be another opportunity lost. They arrived at the car, and Maria slid into the passenger seat, her body tense. As Jack started the engine, her voice cracked softly. "I just hope he's okay." The drive to the park was filled with a heavy silence, punctuated only by the sound of the tires on the asphalt. Jack could see the worry etched on Maria's face in the glow of the dashboard lights. Her son was everything to her, and the fierce love radiating from her was unmissable. Once they reached the park, he had to park farther away than he liked, a crowd forming outside the emergency room. The tension surged again, electrifying the air. As they rushed towards the commotion, Jack felt a shift in him. All his past decisions were nothing compared to the urgency of the moment. They broke through the crowd, and Maria spotted a familiar face. "Anna, where's Mateo?" she called out, her voice rising above the murmurs. Anna turned, her own eyes glistening with anxiety. "He's inside. I just came from the ER. They're checking him out. They think it might just be a concussion, but it's better to be sure." Maria gripped Jack's hand tightly, and he felt her fear ripple through him. He squeezed her hand back, grounding her, wanting to reassure her in the face of so much uncertainty. As they waited, emotions swelled in the air, anxiety swirling like a storm cloud. Jack stole glances at the families surrounding them, each one a depiction of love and concern. His heart panged with an awareness of his own void, the gap left by missed calls and postponed visits. Surrounded by this embrace of compassion, he silently committed to taking the leap he had avoided for too long. Minutes felt like hours. Then a nurse stepped out, her expression gentle yet serious. "Are you family?" she asked, looking right at Maria. "Yes, I'm his mom," Maria exclaimed, stepping forward. Jack felt her pulse quicken, an electric need for answers coursing through her veins. "Mateo is stable," the nurse reassured her. "He's awake and wants to see you. Just a precaution, he'll need some rest." Maria breathed out a shaky sigh of relief, her body visibly relaxing. "Thank you," she whispered, gratitude pouring from her. Jack watched as she rushed inside, her fears momentarily abated. In that moment, Jack stood alone, processing everything. The warmth of Maria's hope lingered in the air. For the first time, he felt a spark of purpose. But as he turned to follow Maria, a thought crashed into him. If helping others could ignite such warmth, what was holding him back from mending his own broken relationships? The weight of the past pressed against him, leaving him breathless in its grip. Before he could make sense of it all, he heard a voice behind him. "Mr. Matthews?" It was one of the doctors, his serious expression betraying nothing. "We need to discuss Mateo's condition." Jack's heart dropped again. What lay ahead could shift everything. Would he finally confront the shadows lurking in his life, or would he turn back? With determination rising within him, he took a step towards the truth and faced his own reality. What awaited him in that room might just change the course of his life forever. Jack's stomach tightened as he followed the doctor down the long, sterile hallway. The fluorescent lights above buzzed softly, illuminating the pristine walls that felt more cold than comforting. Each step echoed in his mind. Thoughts pulsed around his concern for Mateo and the nagging regrets of his own past. He nearly stumbled as the doctor paused, turning to face him. "Mr. Matthews, I'm Dr. Harris. We've been monitoring Mateo closely. He did sustain a concussion, but he's responding well. I'll explain everything clearly." The doctor's tone was steady but kind, the sort of reassurance Jack craved yet found difficult to grasp. "Can I see him?" Jack blurted, his urgency rising again. He didn't know Mateo well, but this felt personal somehow. The boy was in pain, and that gnawed at Jack's insides like a vicious animal. "Absolutely, and I encourage you to talk to him. It's important for both of you." Dr. Harris nodded toward a door at the end of the hallway. "He's in there with his mother." As Jack approached the door, his heart raced. His instincts urged him to retreat, to hide from the vulnerability that being around a family evoked. But he pressed his palm against the cool metal handle, feeling the weight of anticipation, almost as if the door was guarding not just a boy, but something more precious within himself. Inside, the scene was saturated with softness. Mateo lay on the bed, his wide eyes momentarily dazed, but bright with curiosity. Maria sat beside him, a tender expression lighting her face. The room was alive with the scent of antiseptic mixed with the muted warmth of her relief. "Mama," Mateo said weakly, a smile breaking through his pain. "I'm okay." Jack stood silently in the doorway, struck by the simple power of their connection. Here was love, raw and uncluttered, a bond that existed outside the chaos of life. He longed for something like that with his own son. "Mateo," Maria whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. She leaned closer, brushing back the hair from his forehead. "I'm so glad you're awake. Thank you, God." As she whispered words of comfort, Mateo turned his gaze to Jack. "Who are you?" Jack hesitated, caught off guard. The innocent question felt like an invitation. "I'm a friend of your mom's," he managed, feeling the need to say more but unsure how. "Are you gonna tell her I'm super strong?" the boy asked, with a defiant grin, as though he were in a superhero comic. Jack laughed softly, momentarily forgetting the weight on his chest. "Absolutely, you're the strongest kid I know." Maria beamed at Jack, grateful for his lightheartedness amid the worry. In that moment, he saw not just a child who needed reassurance, but the potential to mend his long broken connections. It was a boundary calling to him. Mateo's smile faded slightly. "Are you okay?" he asked, truly concerned etched into the boy's features. Jack felt a familiar twist in his gut, an echo of boyhood empathy, one that reminded him of the son he had distanced himself from. I'm working on it," Jack replied, honesty rising to the surface. "I'm trying to be better." Maria caught his gaze, her expression shifting as if recognizing the weight of those words. She nodded, understanding, and Jack felt a flicker of warmth that seemed to tie them all together. Just then, the door swung open with a sudden jolt, and a whirlwind of energy swept in. Mateo's friends, anxious and excited to see him. Laughter erupted, filling the room, blending hope and joy into the sterile atmosphere. Jack watched, entranced by the scene unfolding before him. This was healing. This was connection. But as the chaos grew, he sensed something beneath the surface, a question lingering in the air. Could he ever truly reconnect with his son? With each passing moment, the urge to reach out and mend the tattered fabric of his past tugged at him. As laughter spread and smiles bloomed within the room, Jack realized that time waited for no one. Feeling the urgency of the moment, he turned away, stepping back into the hallway. The sounds of joy faded behind him, and a resolve settled in his chest. He knew now that the conversation he needed to have was not just with Mateo, but with his own son. Yet the spirit of hope brought forth another truth. What if he discovered that in trying to heal one relationship, he opened the door to an entirely new chapter in his life? Before he could take another step, Jack's phone buzzed in his pocket. The name on the screen stopped him cold, a lifetime of regrets pooling back into his heart. Would this be the moment he finally faced his past? Jack stared at the screen, breath catching in his throat. It was Sarah, the name that stirred memories too complex for him to untangle. The woman who had carried years of their shared dreams and, ultimately, their shared disappointments. He felt the weight of time pressing down on him, a thick fog of regret clouding his thoughts. He hesitated, finger hovering above the answer button. What would he say after all this time? Was there even a point? Wasn't this the moment when he should be reaching out to his son, trying to bridge that unfathomable distance between them? But the text blinked persistently, urging him to respond. Taking a deep breath, he finally tapped the screen. "Hey," he typed, short and tentative. Apprehension coursed through him as he awaited her reply. Minutes passed, dragging like stones through water. Just as he began to think of leaving the hospital altogether, his phone buzzed again. "We need to talk. Can you meet?" Jack's heart raced. Those words felt heavy, pregnant with meaning. It was a call for confrontation, but he wasn't sure whether he was ready for it. Reckoning they would bring. Would he be able to face the truth, not only about Sarah, but also about himself and his failures? As he hovered undecided outside that room, Mateo's laughter floated through the door, a sound so joyful it pulled him back from the edge of his conflict. He could still hear their voices, bright, carefree, unburdened by adult complexities. Jack closed his eyes, warring with the choice in his heart. "Okay," he finally typed back. "Where?" After a quick exchange of texts, they settled on a nearby cafe. His stomach tightened again, but this time it felt like anticipation mixed with dread. But Jack sensed an undeniable pull. He had to face this, whatever it was. He glanced back toward the open door of Mateo's hospital room one last time. The laughter continued, a salve for his nerves, a reminder of what connection felt like. With a sigh, he turned and headed down the hallway, each step echoing the resolve to mend what he could. The outside world greeted him with an overwhelming rush of sound and color. The busy street filled with indifferent people, cars honking in a chaotic rhythm. He sought refuge in the cafe he used to love, where he and Sarah enjoyed coffee and pastries on lazy Sunday mornings. The familiarity of it drew him in, but the ghosts of their past also loomed large, reminding him of dreams that had withered away. As he entered, the warmth of the cafe enveloped him, freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air. Jack searched for Sarah, heart pounding with apprehension. Would she summon anger, resentment, or mercy? His eyes landed on her, seated at a corner table, looking just as he remembered, beautiful and resilient, but tinged with a sadness that never left her corners. When their eyes met, time seemed to shatter. The energy crackled between them, filled with unsaid words. Could they really start a new chapter? Or were they trapped in the old story they didn't quite know how to escape? Jack approached, unsure what would come next. Would they talk about Mateo? Apologies? Or would this be another painful chapter of their intertwined lives that had lost all sense of direction? He sat down, inhaling deeply. A lifetime of emotions surged through him: hope, regret, fear, and a longing for understanding. "What do you want to talk about?" he finally asked, the question hanging in the air like an unfinished thought, ready to unravel any moment. As the words left his lips, a world of possibilities opened before him. This was the moment he had been waiting for, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that it was just the beginning of a more profound journey. Would his connection to Sarah shed light on the path back to his son's heart? Jack held his breath, waiting for her answer, knowing that everything could change in the blink of an eye. Sarah looked at Jack, her gaze steady yet full of emotion. He could see the wheels turning in her mind. The moment seemed to stretch, like a rubber band pulled tight, waiting for release. Memories rose around them, thick and palpable. The laughter, the tears, the love they once shared that now felt like a distant echo. "I wanted to talk about Mateo," she finally said, her voice quiet but unwavering. "I think he needs us both right now." The words pierced through Jack, fresh and raw. He nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah, he does. I've been trying to find a way back to him, to both of you." A shadow crossed Sarah's face. "You've been distant, Jack. I get it. But he feels it, the separation." "I know," he admitted, the weight of guilt settling heavy on his chest. "I thought if I stayed away, it might be easier, for everyone." "Easier? Really?" she scoffed lightly, but her expression softened as she continued. "You think he doesn't miss you? That he doesn't need his dad?" Jack's heart ached at the thought. He couldn't deny it. Every day spent far from Mateo felt like a betrayal. "I've messed it up, Sarah. The last thing I wanted was to hurt him." Sarah reached out, a fragile act amid their strained history. Her hand hovered above the table, and for a moment he wasn't sure if she'd touch him or pull away. She chose the latter. "You have to stop running away, Jack. He deserves better than that." A flicker of determination ignited inside him. "I want to be better. Better for him. I've been so lost. I just didn't think—" "Didn't think what?" she pressed, eyes fierce and piercing. Jack struggled to find the words. What could he say that wouldn't sound like an excuse? "That I would push you both away forever?" he finally muttered. "I thought giving you time was the right move." "But time is what can ruin everything," she replied, her breath escaping in a whisper. "We can't afford to let it slip away like we did before, Jack. We need to face our past to help Mateo. That's why I contacted you." He nodded, the weight of her honesty flooding over him like a wave. It was true. They had let their unresolved issues dictate their lives for too long. "I spent all those years thinking I was protecting him, but I wasn't. I just kept him in a place that felt safe for me," Jack confessed, voice barely above a whisper. "I never wanted to be that dad, the one who fades into the background." "Then show him," Sarah encouraged softly. "Be there, not only for him, but for yourself too. It's time to let go of what was." Jack closed his eyes for a moment, the words wrapping around his heart. Could he really do that? Could he truly step up in a way he hadn't before? "I want to," he finally replied, the words hanging heavy with a promise. "I really want to." The brief moment of intimacy shattered when the barista approached their table, coffee cups in hand. The server glanced between them, sensing the tension but unclear about its depths. Jack offered a weak smile, but his mind was racing. After months of silence, was he finally ready to unravel the truth, not just for Sarah, but for Mateo, for their broken family? As Sarah looked at him, a flicker of hope danced in her eyes. Was it possible they could rebuild? Could they be the parents Mateo deserved? "So, what's next?" Jack asked, trying to grasp the gravity of their situation. Sarah leaned in, her expression earnest. "We start by being honest with each other. No more walls, no more running." Jack barely had time to absorb her words when his phone buzzed, interrupting the fragile moment. It was a message from his mother, distant but urgent. "Jack, I need to speak with you. It's about your father." An icy rush swept over him. He hadn't been ready for this. What did his father have to do with any of it? Jack's pulse quickened. He began, but he didn't know how to explain everything that was swirling in his mind. What other truths were waiting to be uncovered? Jack stared at his phone, the words blurring as adrenaline surged through him. His father, the name alone sent his heart racing. It had been years since he'd had any real contact. The thought of digging into old wounds made him uneasy. "Is everything all right?" Sarah asked, her brow furrowed with concern. I don't know," he admitted, feeling vulnerable. "It's about my dad. My mom sounds urgent." "Do you need to take it?" she asked, gesturing toward the phone. He hesitated. If he took the call now, would it derail their fragile moment? But her question uncovered a truth. Avoiding this conversation wouldn't make it go away. "Yeah, I think so," Jack muttered, rising from the table and stepping outside. The cool air kissed his skin, a stark contrast to the warmth of the cafe. He pressed accept, heart pounding. "Mom, what's going on?" "Jack," his mother's voice trembled, thin and fragile. "We need to talk. It's about your father. He's not well." A deep breath shook through him as panic twisted in his gut. "What do you mean? Is he in the hospital?" "No, not yet, but I think it's close. He's been having health issues. Nothing serious, but I'm worried." The memories flooded back, filled with bitter arguments and painful silences. "Why should I care?" Jack's voice was clipped. "He made his choices." "Because he's still your father, Jack," she pleaded. "I know things are difficult between you two, but if anything happens, you need to see him. He wants to talk to you." The icy rush of helplessness swirled in his chest. Why now, after all this time? "Because life is too short, and I regret not reaching out sooner." Please, if he means anything to you, go, for your own peace of mind. A pang of guilt hit him. Was he really willing to let the past dictate his future? Okay, I'll think about it, he said. Just be kind to yourself. You deserve it. The line went silent, and Jack found himself staring at the bright horizon. He felt the weight of Sarah's earlier words crashing back over him, time slipping away. He didn't just owe it to his father. He owed it to Mateo. Returning inside, he found Sarah leaning against the counter, her eyes scanning the ground, waiting for him. What did she say? Dad's sick. I might need to go see him. The admission tasted bitter on his tongue. There was a flicker of understanding in her eyes. You don't have to decide right away. You have time. Do I? He shot back, the hurt spilling through. Do I really have time? We've wasted so much already. The past is gone, Jack. We can't change that, but we can make the future different. For Mateo, she replied, a comforting hand settling on him. It reminded him of the warmth they once shared. What's the plan then? Jack asked, feeling raw but strangely determined. We start by bringing Mateo into this. No more hiding. We face every truth together, starting today. And if you have to see your dad, we can figure it out as a family. You won't be alone in this. A sense of clarity settled over him. Together, he echoed, the word feeling powerful. Together, Sarah affirmed, her gaze steady. He reached for her hand, the connection grounding him. What had felt like a chasm just moments ago now felt like a bridge. We can do this. We have to. As they leaned in, something shifted. Hope was blooming, fragile yet undeniable. Just then, Jack's mind flickered with yet another thought. His father. What is he even going to say? Will he even want to chat? Before Sarah could respond, Jack's phone buzzed again. Another text, but this time from Mateo. Dad, can we play catch later? His heart swelled with both joy and dread. Looks like he's waiting. Then let's go see him, together, Sarah urged, squeezing his hand. But as Jack grabbed his keys, another message popped up on his phone, causing his stomach to sink. The screen read, Jack, there's something else you don't know about your father. Every piece of his world hung in balance as he stood frozen. What else could he possibly uncover? Jack's breath caught in his throat. The world around him buzzed with the sound of the cafe's patrons, but all of that noise faded into the background. His focus narrowed, honing in on that single message. His father? Sick, distant, and full of secrets? What's wrong? Sarah asked, her voice breaking him from the spiral of his thoughts. Jack swallowed hard, but didn't respond immediately. Instead, he stared at the screen, the 3 dots blinking beneath the message, waiting for more. Would there be details? Would it warrant stepping into that tangled web of past hurts? Jack? I've got another text, he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. It's from my mom again. She says there's something else I don't know about Dad. What do you think it could be? He shrugged, uncertainty pulsing through him. I don't know. I don't know if I can be blindsided again. You won't be alone, remember? She said, her eyes locking onto his. Whatever it is, you've got me and Mateo. We'll figure it out. A loud laugh erupted from a nearby table, and Jack felt a flicker of envy. Families seemed carefree, while his felt like an endless knot of unfinished business. Okay. He took a deep breath. Before he could think too much, Jack pressed his thumb against the screen, opening the thread. It read, Jack, there's something else you don't know about your father. You need to be prepared for what you might hear. The air in his lungs felt suddenly heavy, as if weighted down by more than just the uncertainty. Prepared for what? More secrets? Hey, let's not jump to conclusions, Sarah urged gently, her tone confident. How about we focus on the here and now with Mateo? She was right. The thought of spending time with his son grounded him. Yeah, I need to do that, he agreed. He's what matters most. They stepped outside into the bright sunlight, and Jack felt a warmth spreading inside him at the thought of playing catch later. But as they made their way back to the car, he couldn't shake the gnawing curiosity about his father's past. What had he kept hidden all these years? Jack? What? You seem distant. Everything okay? Just thinking about how complicated everything is. My mind keeps racing. Want to share? He shook his head. Not yet. I want to focus on us right now. Okay, she nodded, and for a moment they fell into a comfortable silence, warmth radiating off both of them. But the thought of his father lingered behind his eyelids. What had made a man walk away from his son? What would Jack say to him? Would he even listen? When they reached Mateo's school, excitement bubbled inside Jack as he spotted his son by the swings, grinning from ear to ear. The sight peeled layers of tension off Jack's heart. This was his focus, his priority. As they approached, Mateo looked up, and his face lit up. "Dad, you made it! Can we play catch?" "Of course, buddy. That's why I'm here," Jack said, ruffling his son's hair affectionately. Mateo beamed, a bubble of joy spilling onto the playground. "I'll show you my new throw." But as they walked to the park nearby, Jack's phone buzzed again. This time, it was another message from his mom, a single line that sent a chill down his spine. "Jack, please don't ignore this. You need to know the whole truth before it's too late." His hand trembled as he read it, the sun warming his face, feeling like a distant reality. It was only a game of catch, but suddenly it felt like a game of hide-and-seek with his cast, and he was hiding from the truth. "Everything cool?" Sarah's voice brought him back again. "Yeah, but—" Jack hesitated again, the walls crashing in. "What if what I discover changes everything? What if I lose it all? Or maybe it could set you free. You won't know until you find out," she replied softly. Jack stood frozen at that moment, the weight of his decision pressing down on him heavier than ever. Truth or secrets? As Mateo ran off to join some friends, an internal battle raged within Jack. Could he face the ghosts of the past? "Maybe you should go talk to him," Sarah suggested, her voice nudging him gently. "And you can't face it alone." He looked towards her, hope and doubt swirling, and felt the weight of what was coming. The game was just beginning, but what if he was not ready for the truth hidden within each throw? And as the laughter of children filled the air, the question lingered. Could he muster the courage to dig deeper, to unveil what was hidden? As Mateo dashed off, his laughter brightened the park, but Jack's heart remained heavy. He leaned back against a bench, breathing in the scent of sun-warmed grass, trying to absorb the joy around him. But each giggle from his son felt like a reminder that undercurrents of uncertainty were swirling just beneath the surface. "Jack, let's practice," Mateo called, holding the ball with both hands, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Sarah watched, her smile wide, but there was a flicker of concern in her gaze. Jack tried to mimic the joy of the moment, but his thoughts kept slipping back to his mother's ominous messages, fragile threads that might unravel everything he thought he knew. "Okay, buddy, I'm ready." He forced a smile and jogged over. The catch became a dance. Mateo threw with eager precision, and Jack caught the ball, feeling a momentary release with each throw. The sun shining bright felt like a fleeting escape. Midway through their game, Mateo paused, hands on his hips. "Daddy, are you okay? You look funny." Jack felt a pang in his chest. How could he explain the storm brewing inside him to his son? "Yeah, I'm just thinking a lot. Grown-up stuff." Mateo nodded, but Jack could see the concern in his eyes, too wise for his age. "You can tell me, you know. Grown-ups can have big feelings, too." Jack bit his lip, uncertain. "I know, buddy, you're right. Maybe it's just I've got some things to figure out, but you're my best reason to smile." He threw the ball back with a grin. The game continued with bursts of laughter, but Jack felt every catch brought him closer to an inevitable truth. and as the sun began to dip low, casting long golden rays, he was reminded of all the shadows in his past he was avoiding. What if he had reasons? A voice whispered in his mind as Mateo threw the ball again. What if he needed help? Jack's own heartbeat drowned out the surrounding noise. Could he really dig up the past? Was it time to confront his father and demand answers about what was left unsaid? But just as he contemplated the weight of direction, a familiar figure approached. Surprised, Jack let his breath escape in a rush. It was his mom, her face etched with weariness but determined. "Jack, please, we need to talk." His heart sank and raced at the same time, trapped in a whirlwind of disbelief. "Mom? Here? Now?" "I came as soon as I could," she urged, her voice low, a panic lacing the edges. "It's important, for all of us." "Can't it wait just a bit? I want to be with Mateo." Jack's voice sharped, conflicted between duty to his past and love for his son. "He's safe, I promise. Just give me a moment," she pleaded, her eyes searching his. Jack hesitated, time slowing, pulling tight around him like the grip of a roller coaster just before the plunge. Could he face those memories again? Could he find the strength now? Mateo wandered back toward them, curious. "What's wrong, Dad?" "Nothing, buddy. Just talking to Grandma," Jack lied, the weight of his decision heavy on his chest. As his mother turned her gaze onto Mateo, he felt an urgency building within him. "What do you want to know, Mom? Am I ready for this?" Jack asked, his voice trembling slightly. "More than you think," she replied, her expression resolute, "because it's time you knew everything." As his heart raced, Jack felt the ground shift beneath him. With each word, answers seemed to beckon. But what would he uncover? With the sun setting behind them, that single question lingered in the air, like the taste of something bittersweet. Could he handle whatever truths lay ahead? Jack felt like he was standing on the precipice of something monumental. The sun dipped lower in the sky, its fading light casting long shadows that danced across the grass. Mateo's laughter drifted behind him, a sweet melody interwoven with the chaos brewing in his heart. As he locked eyes with his mother, he knew this was not the moment for hesitation. "Let's talk," he said, his voice unsteady, yet resolute. Jack turned to Mateo, who was sportingly engaged with friends at the park. "Just a bit, okay? I'll be right back." The boy nodded, trust shining in his big eyes as he rushed back to the game, without a second thought. With a sigh, he faced his mother. She looked older, tired, yet there was a fire in her gaze. It was the same spark that he remembered from his childhood, a fierce love that had endured through distance and hurt. Jack felt a pang of nostalgia, a heavy remembrance of everything that had been lost. "What's this all about?" he asked, his voice low. Taking a deep breath, she began. "It's your father. You need to know something." Jack's heart raced as he felt the walls around him tighten. "Is he all right?" "I don't." "No, but he's reached out to me in ways he hasn't in years," she answered, grappling with the words. "He wishes to make amends, but there's more." A bead of sweat trickled down his temple. "More? Like what? I can't do this right now." She took a step closer, lowering her voice. "He has regrets, haunts that have weighed heavy on him. He's become someone battling with ghosts of his past. And he mentioned a secret." A chill swept through Jack. What kind of secret? The tone of her voice hinted at something far more profound, an invitation to walk down a road he feared. Something about his life and decisions that could change how you view everything, she said, her eyes filled with concern. He may have answers that can bring peace. "Peace," Jack echoed, almost mockingly. "Is it peace we're after? Or maybe some kind of closure? Because peace is a long way from the last time I spoke to him." "True, but sometimes facing the past is the only way," she urged softly. The urgency hung heavily in the air between them. For you and for Mateo. The mention of his son twisted in Jack's chest. "I can't fracture things more than they already are." "Jack, listen. If you care about your relationship with Mateo, you cannot ignore what's happening with your father. You have to confront the past to secure a different future." Suddenly, the echo of laughter faded, replaced by the reality of the moment. Take that leap or remain entangled in the same narrative that had brought him nothing but loneliness. What if it brings more chaos? Her voice trembled. What if it brings understanding? I believe he's ready to share, and the truth always holds the power to heal. With every moment that passed, uncertainty roiled within. And if the truth hurts, then you gather those pieces together like you're building a new path, she insisted, her voice firm. You owe it to Matteo to try. You owe it to yourself. The sound of Matteo shouting his dad's name cut through the tension. Jack took a deep breath, recognizing the gravity of the choice ahead. Okay, he finally said, determination nodding in his stomach. But if I do this, I need you by my side. The ghost of regret flickered in her eyes, but then she nodded, fierce love shining once more. Always, I'll always be here for you. As they stepped away from the park's edge, a sense of purpose ignited within Jack. Healing didn't come easily, but the immediate warmth of family surrounded him. The laughter floated back to him, drawing him closer to his son, closer to who he once was, a boy filled with dreams and love, unburdened by the past. Jack took in the scene around him. Matteo's excitement was infectious, and it reminded him that every moment mattered. "Hey, buddy," Jack called out, catching Matteo's attention. "Let's go get some ice cream before heading home." Joy erupted on Matteo's face, and he dashed over, practically vibrating with excitement. "Really? Can we get sprinkles?" "Absolutely," Jack replied, the corners of his mouth lifting in a genuine smile. As they walked together, the weight of impending confrontation slowly eased, and Jack felt lighter. "Dad, I've been practicing my throws. I can really throw the ball high now," Matteo exclaimed, throwing his hands in the air, humor shining bright. Jack chuckled at his son's exuberance, feeling love envelop him. "With sprinkles, I might even try to throw a few of my own." Together, they laughed, their voices intertwining like a warm embrace. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and necessary truths, but for the first time in a long while, Jack felt hope blossom. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he looked over at Matteo, his heart swelling with pride. In the midst of shadows, light was still possible. He was ready to face the truth, ready to rebuild, because family and the love that anchored it was worth every effort. And sometimes, in the midst of chaos, those little connections could lead to the biggest transformations. This is not just Jack's journey. It is a reminder that transformation waits for those brave enough to seek it. Just like Jack, you too can face your past and choose your future. Now it's time for you to act. You need to subscribe now to stay updated on these impactful journeys. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button right now. I want to hear from you. Comment below about how this story resonates with you and what transformation you hope for in your life. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's spread hope and healing together.